Mollie Hemingway, senior editor of the Federalist. Mollie, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Can you walk us through what this means for Speaker Boehner right now? He essentially, has he been vindicated?
Well, I don't think so at all. I think that this is what the founders really intended when they set up the House. And this type of chaos, people are saying, oh, it's horrible for the GOP. It's actually good for the GOP, and it's good for the House to have this kind of response to the will of the people. They are clearly not happy with Boehner. They're also not wanting just a slight improvement over Boehner. They want someone who will be dramatically different, who will be responsive to their concerns.
I think that's a really good point because, you know, I feel like maybe this is what this group needs, a revolution of sorts, given the fact that they've been rolled over for 7 years and haven't been able to get enough done as President Obama pushes through his agenda.
Right, and so they're definitely wanting to see a lot more change, and I think this is just a problem that's been happening in general. The establishment here in Washington, D.C. thinks that they can make a minor adjustment, and really what people are saying is, oh no, we would like a major adjustment. We want you to be responsive to how serious the problems this country faces.
I love Mollie, I love Maria's revolutionary comment and your constitutional comment and what the Founding Fathers most likely had in mind here. Who do you think is the change?
You know, I think that remains to be seen. It's actually a very thankless job, and it'll be very difficult to do this. And it doesn't need to be someone terribly conservative. It just needs to be someone who's responsive to conservatives, someone who understands the need to get things done for that very significant portion of the Republican caucus.
But, Mollie, we talk about this is what Republicans want, but this is really largely being driven by a minority of Republicans in the House. The Freedom Caucus withholding those votes from Kevin McCarthy, I mean, that was one of the problems. But again, are they creating more problems for the GOP in terms of the just total disarray? I mean, you say that this is a revolution, but it's a revolution by a minority.
Well, first off, I think actually the Freedom Caucus represents a huge swath of the American public. These are just small government conservatives in general, and that is very much in line with just average thinking. But
But you're saying that the average Republican thinks along the lines of these 40 people.
Well, not just that. I think the average American is very much in line with their way of thinking. And every time people say, oh, it's going to be a disaster for the Republican Party, usually what happens is within 12 months you see some kind of landslide Republican victory. So I think that that's probably an indication of where things are heading in the next year as well.
I think that what Dagan's hitting on, though, is this, you know, disarray. I mean, the struggle for Republicans to elect a leader raises serious questions about party unity. And, you know, you don't have that kind of unity in an election year. So what does it mean for the candidates vying for the nomination when here we are looking to, you know, vote in a new president? The GOP wants it to be Republican, and yet the party is not united. They're not unified.
I think what it really indicates is the extreme amount of frustration that people have with the way things have been done year after year after year in Washington, D.C. This is not just a Republican thing. People are kind of fed up across the board.
But, Mollie, I'll paraphrase something the Wall Street Journal covers in its editorial page today, that they call it a sub-movement. This sub-movement blames all of the nation's problems on the Republican establishment, rather than the GOP in the House unifying and taking on the Obama White House. That it's Obamacare and the lack of job growth and the lackluster economy. That's all a Democratic issue. It's not an issue of these Republicans versus those Republicans. That's the central problem.
That is a central problem, and actually the way the media cover this, it's always going to be the Republicans' fault, no matter what they say. But we also see that people are really wanting a speaker who can really speak over that, who can communicate with the American people, who can articulate a strong message and explain conservatism and Republican governance to the people, even in the face of a hostile opposition party and a hostile media.
All right. So who would you like to see in the seat?
I really have no preference, but I'm certainly interested by the Paul Ryan thing. I think he's smart enough to not want to take the job. He's also very loyal, so that might make him take the job. But he's in a wonderful position in Ways and Means right now, so I don't see him giving that up.
We'll see.
I love how it's the job that nobody wants to take.
I know.
I mean, that
it's the worst job in Washington.
Explains a lot of the mediocrity associated with...
Why is it the worst job in Washington? Why?
You just get blamed for everything, and you don't actually... it's very hard to wrangle the caucus.
All right, Mollie. Good insights. We appreciate your time this morning. We'll see you soon, Mollie. Mollie Hemingway there. Meanwhile...